to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis. Today is Saturday, December 9th, 2017. Blasting off with some UFO reports. The first one comes out of Almond, Wisconsin. That occurred on October 22nd of 2017. In brief, the witness states, "I was taking pics of the sunset. It was too bright to see by sun with naked eye. Saw when looking at pics." In more detail, they state, "My mother was taking pictures of the sunset looking over a field near her house. The sun was very bright, too bright to look directly into it. When she was looking at the pictures she had taken, she was shocked. I also witnessed a similar object in that area many years before." The next UFO sighting occurred November 30th, 2017, a UFO sighting in Cascade, Iowa. They describe it as a dumbbell-shaped object with flashing lights moving in steady path from north to west. They go on to state on November 30th at around 6:55 p.m. Central Standard Time, a dumbbell-shaped object with flashing lights moved over the witness's apartment at unknown altitude. A second object with flashing lights also appeared briefly. The witness took video of the objects for a duration of about 20 minutes. The witness contacted this investigator directly and asked me to file this report for her. The next UFO sighting happened in Cagayan de Oro, northern Mandingo. On December 5th, 2017, UFO with very bright lights seen in Cagayan de Oro City. They go on to describe it was December 5th, 2017, around 7:15 p.m. I was at home charging my phone when I saw a strange light by the window. I thought it's an airplane, but it looked odd because the lights were very bright and in different colors. I noticed it because the lights coming from it were very bright. I thought it was an airplane, but when I looked closer and saw the thing, it doesn't look like an airplane or any aircraft that I know of. The object looks like an egg, but very oval-shaped. Also looks like a pill. Actually, it kind of looks like a cigar-shaped UFO, except that what I saw looks like it has a bump on the upper and lower part as opposed to the cigar-shaped UFO, which only has a straight structure at the top and bottom part of it. It has lights which are very bright. I could barely see the color of the surface because the lights reflected on it, but it looks white or lead in color. It moves in one direction and is moving really fast. I was not surprised at first because I thought it's an airplane. But when I saw it, I ran towards my phone. My battery was almost drained, but I still grabbed it and took a photo. It was very fast, and the view was really limited because there's a house next to mine, so I wasn't able to take a video of it. When I took the photos, the UFO is almost by the edge of the limited view I have, so I lost track of it. The next UFO was in Aberdale, Florida. This occurred December 5th, 2017. Briefly stated, lit up suddenly on onward trajectory. Thought I was witnessing jetliner crash. Big, bright, and close. Lights disappeared before reaching ground horizon. In more detail, they go on to say, I was working on my laptop on my patio around 6:45 when I caught a glimpse of something very large and very bright in my peripheral vision. It had multiple bright yellow-orange lights, maybe 6 or 8. It was heading in a downward type trajectory and appeared to be at least as big as jetliners like a 767. It was moving very fast, but not so fast that it blurred. But I've never seen an object that large move that fast. My initial instinct was that it was about to witness a jetliner crash within a mile of me, and as I stood up in horror to take in the ensuing crash and explosions, it disappeared before reaching the ground or cresting the horizon. From the time I caught a glimpse to the time it disappeared was less than 5 seconds. The lights did not fade away. They went off like they were switched off. There was no discernible sound. A jet, a plane, helicopter, etc., would have been audible from the short distance away. It occurred to me in those brief seconds that while my instinct told me it was an inevitable commercial airline crash, it was not like it was attempting some sort of emergency landing. More like the craft was being intentionally steered downward at a steep angle. The lights were not well-defined lights with distinct edges. They had more of a flamy nature sort like afterburner. After the sighting ended, I had this empty, confused, creeped out feeling and felt confident I could not have been the only person who saw this. This was no speck in the sky in the middle of the night. This was in a populous area in the early evening, and it wasn't subtle. It was really quite spectacular. I called the local police department the next morning to see if they had received reports about this, and they said they had not. I'm a reasonably intelligent person, not under any drug or alcohol influence, and I know what I saw. I felt compelled to find someone else who saw it also. This was in the Lake Ariana area in Auburndale, Florida, near Lakeland and Winter Haven. Florida has a fair share of military bases. I am certain beyond doubt I have seen either a secret military aircraft capable of extraordinary speed, cloaking, and who knows what other technologies beyond the scope of comprehension by ordinary citizens, or B, a bona fide extraterrestrial craft from outer space. No one could successfully convince me that what I saw could be explained away as anything conventional or normal. The image is burned in my mind, and quite frankly, I wish I had not seen it at all. The next UFO sighting happened in Macomb, Michigan. This is a blast from the UFO past. This occurred July 31st, 1992, briefly described as 6 white lights, hovered 30 feet above a bridge with a vehicle under it, casually flew away and descended further into a forest. In more detail, the witness goes on to describe, I was in my living room preparing to head to my friend's house across the street to spend the night. My friend was with me in the living room but went outside before me. I heard him frantically calling my name and to get my butt out there. When I left my house, he was about 200 feet away at the entrance of our subdivision. I ran to him. He pointed at the craft and said, "Don't ever forget this." I immediately knew it was a UFO in the traditional sense. It hovered 30 feet over a bridge in a field adjacent to our subdivision that was not yet developed. There was a car parked under the vehicle with its headlights on. The craft had 6 white lights and just hovered there. I can't recall if it spun or not. About 30 seconds after watching the craft hover, it descended to the east into more dense forest at a very slow rate of speed. The vehicle then drove away the opposite direction. My friend and I ran to his garage to grab a baseball bat and golf club and into the forest to find it. We found nothing. The next morning, we described the event to my friend's mother. She accused us of lying. She thought we had read the newspaper from the day prior of our sighting, which described the craft that had been sighted in our county. The descriptions were identical. I have tried to locate the article in the local newspaper, the Macomb Daily, in past issues, but They are not available online prior to 1994, and the event occurred in 1992. I'm hoping that by reporting this, maybe the driver of the vehicle or anyone that may have read the article would have more info. Wow, that's a good one. The next UFO sighting occurred in Denton, Texas on November 30th, 2017. Briefly stated, saw this while videoing the full moon. Filmed it for 37 seconds. Object flew erratically and pulsed different colors. In more detail, they state, I was out videoing the full moon as I have documented several unidentified objects over the last 2 years while videoing. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw an unusual flashing light pulsing different colors. It was very small in the night sky, so no idea how big it was, but could see it change colors with my naked eye. After about a minute of watching it, I decided to stop recording the moon and see if I could use the zoom to see what it was. I filmed it for 37 seconds before it disappeared. When zoomed in, the object looks like a flying jellyfish that pulses and can change shape and color. It was moving erratically around in the sky, and I didn't understand why. When I increased the brightness, contrast, and saturation of the video, I learned why it was moving erratically. Only when the video pushed to enhance it, I could see what was happening, which was a number of beams that looked like lasers shooting from the object and shooting at the object from beneath. When I saw my first unidentified object while viewing the moon about 2 years ago, I was motivated to capture them on video. I purchased an 8-inch Celestron Nexstar telescope, along with digital camera gear, and have been recording the moon for many months. I even started a YouTube channel to post up my pictures and videos. Nobody really knows about it since I want to stay anonymous, and it doesn't really get viewed by many people. I decided to finally move forward with this because I feel people have a right to know the truth about UFOs. The video I shot is undisputable evidence of some type of alien technology that could not possibly be anything our government can make. I have the raw footage of the video, and once seen, it was very clear that it could not be a created video as the object changes color and shape continuously. I posted about a 5-second clip of the video on my YouTube page. It was shot in full 1080p and can clearly be seen. And they placed the link right here. Again, I would like to remain anonymous with this, but want people to know we are not alone in the universe. If you look at the videos and pics on my YouTube page, you will see many more videos of UFOs which further prove we are clearly not alone in the universe. On to some alien encounters. This is entitled One Man's Encounters with Aliens. Editor's note, we were contacted on March 15th, 2016 by Roger Taggart in High Point, North Carolina, who has had several incidences with aliens spread over many years beginning in 1972. He briefly shared 3 of his experiences, as it follows here. He states, I have seen aliens several times up close, he wrote in an email. Once one had me by my wrist, and I told it to let me go in the name of Jesus. I could not open my eyes yet. I had actually could see the alien through my eyelids. The 3rd time I commanded it to go, my eyes finally popped open, and I saw the alien cock its head a little and release me. Then it backed away into thin air. Aliens can be persistent, he emphasized, but using the name of Jesus sends them away and will get you out of the paralysis they put you under. That's true. I've seen it myself. He goes on to state, he said his very first alien encounter was much simpler. That alien was about 6 feet tall and looked like a glowing mannequin with no details to the face. Its eyes and mouth were not.
Cheers! Cheers! There are so many reasons to celebrate. With over 8,000 wines, 3,000 spirits, and 2,500 beers to choose from, Total Wine & More has the perfect one for you and your best friends and your coworkers and your siblings and your partner and your neighbors and even your parents. Happy celebrating. Cheers from your friends at Total Wine & More.
To raise a glass, to make a toast, to just say cheers. You're going to need supplies. Total Wine & More is your holiday headquarters for everything you need to plan the perfect celebration. With new Bottle Buster deals every week and expert staff to help, Total Wine & More makes it easy. This week, get an extra special price on 750 milliliter Kendall Jackson Chardonnay. Find more details at TotalWine.com. Total Wine & More, your holiday headquarters for gifting and entertaining. See store for details.
Not visible to me. The third incident occurred one day when he was lying down on his bed for a nap. For about 15 minutes I was sleeping on and off, he wrote. Then I was wide awake and I could see myself going into another place and then back into my bedroom. Yet I was still propped up on my large pillows. Now, as you can see in image 1, I saw to the right of my head this long silver metal beam, inlaid with lapis lazuli blue. Within the blue were rows and rows of silver symbols that looked like hieroglyphics. When I bent over to get a closer look at the writing, a flash of white light went off from the beam, and I started going under and being paralyzed. I opened my mouth and said, "Jesus!" Suddenly, I was in front of myself, looking at my face jerk and go, like it was in slow motion. It was like my face was divided into 3 or 4 pieces that were coming back together. A note: Dr. Jesse A. Marcel Jr. is shown holding an I-beam found in 1947 at the famous UFO crash site in Roswell, New Mexico. It seems to have similarities with the beam this witness has reported. And you could find that link and image if you go to our site. Going on with some paranormal points. This is connected to a story that I read yesterday about little people. So if you want to continue on with me, be sure to listen to that episode as well. This article is entitled "Little People Talk About God, Religion, and ETs." Editor's note, who is Mary Joyce: this is the 4th in a series about visiting private property in eastern Tennessee where an ancient race of little people still live. While at his eastern Tennessee property, Xander told us what the little people have said about the Creator, religion, and extraterrestrials or ETs. Before getting into those subjects, he explained, "The little people are not 100% in our realm. They also see things that occur in other realms and know what's going on around the world and in our galaxy." The Creator. "The little people don't have a simple name for the Creator," he began. "They commonly say the one who sings the song, or they'll use a complete sentence like, the entity that became self-aware and started singing the song that created everything. It's not just a simple one-liner. Their belief is that from time to time it stops singing and everything goes away, and then it starts singing again, and it is able to preserve things from one song to another. They say there has been a succession of songs, and that they're from the first song. I've tried to pin them down on the number of songs there have been. I've heard them say 4, then 6, so maybe they're unsure." Religion. They think a lot of the religions are intolerant of each other, which is their big criticism of the Middle East. None of the religions have it right, according to the little people. At least none of them in the Middle East have it right. They say Buddhism is better than the rest. They don't buy into the whole story, but they think that the result is better than most of the other religions. They say that the person we refer to as Jesus Christ was actually a Buddhist. When you go to check out their story, it really checks out well. There is evidence Jesus studied Buddhism in Tibet. News to me. Extraterrestrials. They have plenty to say about ETs, Xander told us. They say all ET races come to Earth for some self-serving reason. So they believe there are bad guys and better guys, not bad guys and good guys. At times the little people seem to be considering an alliance with the better guys, known as the Pleiadians. They claim the Pleiadians have a permanent base which is shaped like a diamond that is inside the corona of the sun, but not very deep inside of it. They also claim that the bad guys they call the Dominators have a base that is near Jupiter, and they are responsible for blowing up the planet, which is now the asteroid belt. The little people are afraid that Earth will end up being exploded by the Dominators, who will mine all the chunks of what's left. The Dominators would prefer that the humans have a certain amount of choice in the matter. Once after the little people expressed their fears to Xander, he left them the above note, which says, "How can I help?" The next day they wrote back, "Expel the evil ones." The little people say if humans choose the path of greed, then the Dominators can buy people to get their way. If humans choose a peaceful and cooperative path, then the Earth might not be destroyed. They say the Dominators are definitely in cahoots with several governments, and they're convinced to an extreme that at least 3 governments in the Middle East are in full cooperation with this outfit, and to some extent every other government. The little people tell me that these governments have made a pact with the Dominators, and they trade young children for technology, and the children are eaten. They prefer 2-year-olds or something like that. Of course, this is a very disgusting thing to me, and it would explain why the little people are so afraid. They say that the Dominators call Earth the ranch, or the farm. They say the U.S. government has 6 UFOs that have been manufactured out of junk parts that they have put together from alien technology that was traded for children. They say the trades usually are 10,000 children for one part. If you find this report about the Dominators eating children too disgusting to be believed, check out the series of 4 books by David Paulides titled Missing 411. When David realized an extraordinary number of people, especially children, were disappearing forever from remote areas of the country, he began his own investigation. His professional background was perfect for the job, 20 years in law enforcement, and graduate degrees from the University of San Francisco. After 3 years and 7,000 hours of investigation, his first book on the subject was published in 2012. His findings might give indirect credibility to the little people's grisly story about the Dominators. And if I may add my 2 cents worth, I authored a book called The Secret War that speaks of the heavens battle going on currently. And the original subtitle was The Heavens Speak of the Battle. It is now retitled to be called A True Story About a Real Alien War and Shadow People. You can find out more information on my main website, HeidiHollis.com, and talks about the missing people and missing children. And that was written in 1997, published in '01. So I am not surprised to read and hear of such things. Continuing on, in regards to little people Little People Tunnels found under Sila, North Carolina Theater. The article reads, sometimes emails pile up and are forgotten, but thank goodness not erased. This one from Wes Hill should have been posted long ago, stated Mary Joyce, the author of this article. Good morning. I recently read your book on the Cherokee Little People, and I found it to be absolutely fascinating. I am in the process of doing some research for a book concerning a murder that happened in the Balsam area in the 1920s, and I found something that might interest you. As I browsed through the microfilm at the Silva Library, I noticed an interesting headline. I've attached the scan of the article for the July 6, 1927 issue of the Silva Herald that describes the discovery of tunnels under the old Lyric Theater site on Main Street in Silva. I didn't remember a mention of this in your book, so I thought I would send it along. Again, thanks for a great read, and I hope you have a great holiday. The original article from the Silva Herald is retyped here, and it states, July 6, 1927, find ancient tunnels at Lyric Theater site. Workmen excavating for the new Lyric Theater building on Main Street dug into what appears to be the remains of two ancient tunnels, or perhaps only one tunnel. The connection between the two having been filled in sometime during the centuries. One was from the east to west and the other north to south. In one, Mr. John Shepherd, who was in charge of the excavating work, found a pine knot, still in good shape of preservation. The tunnels are from 12 to 15 feet under the surface of the ground and are only large enough for a man to crawl into, though it is probable that they were much larger at one time, having gradually filled up, leaving only the small space for the arched top. There has been much speculation as to how the tunnels were made and as to whom made them. The Indians, the mound builders, or some race that preceded them upon the continent. After reading the 1927 article, I'm convinced it describes ancient Cherokee Little People tunnels for several reasons. First, downtown Silva is within 6 miles of other sites where small ancient tunnels have been found south of town and at Western Carolina University. Second, the downtown tunnels have arched tops like others that have been discovered. And third, all the tunnels that have been uncovered are too small that a normal-sized man must crawl to get inside of them. Ooh, fascinating stories. I want to thank you all for listening to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis. Be sure to check out UFOHeadlineNews.com every day. And also tune into my other weekly shows. I co-host on The Kevin Cook Show and my show, The Outlander. Both shows are 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and catch my paranormal comic strip, The Outlanders. Direct links can be found on my main website, which is HeidiHollis.com, or just come on over to InceptionRadioNetwork.com where you will find everything. Remember always to keep an open mind so you can stay informed and inspired.
There are so many reasons to celebrate. With over 8,000 wines, 3,000 spirits, and 2,500 beers to choose from, Total Wine & More has the perfect one for you and your best friends and your coworkers and your siblings and your partner and your neighbors and even your parents. Happy celebrating. Cheers from your friends at Total Wine & More.
To raise a glass, to make a toast, to just say cheers. You're going to need supplies. Total Wine & More is your holiday headquarters for everything you need to plan the perfect celebration. With new bottle buster deals every week and expert staff to help, Total Wine & More makes it easy. This week, get an extra special price on 750 milliliter Kendall Jackson Chardonnay. Find more details at TotalWine.com. Total Wine & More, your holiday headquarters for gifting and entertaining. See store for details.